The relentless rain tests the hatchling's grip. Character B braces against a knot, but the bark peels, forcing a danger. The fragile strand cannot withstand the strain of the juvenile bird's weight and the twisting runoff. First, one section tears. The juvenile tumbles from the fractured branch, plummeting toward the river. Below, the armored predator's wake tightens, anticipating the impact. The juvenile makes a desperate attempt to dive, but the adult follows swiftly. It struggles against the current. Beneath the surface, the juvenile remains hidden, sending a trail of bubbles as the adult's shadow looms overhead. The Hoatzins make their slow, careful way through the canopy. A falling seed pod catches their attention, directing their gaze downward. Early morning in the Amazon floodplain. Two mating pairs, 4 and 5 years old respectively, work together. The Hoatzin carefully tests the material. A brittle twig breaks, deemed unsuitable. If testing it, the female arrives, carrying a fresh stem to build the nest base. With precision, the pair works together to secure the framework. The fiber slips from the branch, revealing the vulnerability of the nest. Below, the caiman slides from the mud into the tea-brown water. The wake continues to widen as the armored creature moves downstream. High above, the pair reinforce their fragile. The bird adjusts its angle, pulling laterally on the trapped stem. With a final effort, it slips free. The scattered rain beats on the nest. The rim is growing saturated and begins to drain the water from the woven fibers. Early morning in the heart of the Amazon basin. Perched high above the forest floor, a pair of Hoatzins tends to their clutch. The chick leans in, taking the first tender leaves offered by its parent. The Hoatzin parents carefully manage their small brood in the riverside nest. The newly hatched chick seeks shelter as another egg begins to stir. The adults return with food, and the older juveniles immediately dominate the center of the nest, leaving the youngest chick behind. The brood shifts, putting strain on the nest. Character A holds tight as the wood begins to crack. The chick finds purchase, its wing claws and beak essential tools in navigating the fragile structure. The approaching storm forces the family to seek shelter. The adults take protective positions while the juveniles huddle deep in the nest. The bark chip descends the trunk while the adults remain above. The chip exposes a damp abrasion below the fork. 1 week. The adults work together to free the husk, while the juveniles watch the structural strain on the nest branch. The storm builds, and the young are vulnerable. The adults instinctively tighten their formation, but one chick remains exposed. Now the river rises, the branch weakens, and every second narrows the chick's options. Storm brings heavy rain to the nest. A mother Hoatzin tries to cover her young, but a gust tears her wing open, exposing the vulnerable chick. The storm's power tests the nest's integrity. The adults shift their weight, but the crack beneath them begins to widen. The juvenile seeks shelter under the raft, while the armored reptile remains exposed to the elements. The juvenile, burdened by its soaked plumage, seeks respite among the submerged roots. The juvenile secures its grip, but the flexible root yields to its weight, a constant battle against the storm's current. The juvenile bird's only path is toward the large tree trunk. It reaches out, its small claws testing the slip. The juvenile makes a desperate grasp for the sturdy trunk as its foothold fails beneath it. The juvenile slips, redirecting its body into the algae-coated trunk. The adult's wake folds through the roots. To return, it must climb with wing claws, feet, and beak before the current pulls it free. The juvenile bird probes the rotten bark near the water's edge, unaware of the lurking predator. The juvenile uses its powerful beak to find purchase on the trunk, its claws struggling for traction in the rushing waters. The chick's struggle intensifies as the bark gives way. It plunges into the murky water, a splash breaking thing. The juvenile chick struggles to find purchase against the slick trunk. The adult's marked eye watches from beyond the roots. The juvenile makes one final attempt, its beak hold fracturing under the immense load. Unable to climb, it drops back to the The juvenile secures its hold on the textured root. Below, the mature armored creature begins to move away. The smallest of the brood urgently begs for nourishment. The older juvenile, demonstrating cooperates a vital meal. The vine's fibers stretch under the weight, revealing the pale wood beneath. Facing a critical choice, the juvenile bird releases the vine, using its wing claws to secure a new grip on the drier bark. The juvenile secures its position, shaking off the remaining moisture, while the adult continues its patrol downstream. The adult approaches with food. The young chick eagerly shifts towards the offering, while the younger chick on the ramp reaches the steeper final section. The fledgling Hoatzin makes a critical move across the gap to the main nest, using its beak and claws for purchase. The nestling begins to groom itself, preparing for a dangerous descent to the river below.